Welcome to the Linebacker's introduction video of our 360 series. Today we're going to be looking at some of the common vocabulary and concepts we need to start understanding the position of linebacker. We're going to start off with defensive positions, naturally beginning with linebacker. Right now your perspective is that of the middle linebacker, Mac. We're 5 yards away from the ball, right in the middle. If you look to your left, you can see the Sam linebacker. Now take a look to your right and you'll see the Will linebacker. Both of them are with us at 5 yards off of the ball. Now we're in the perspective of an outside linebacker, Sam. If you look to your right, you can see both the Mac and the Will. You can also see that you're directly over top of the offensive lineman in front of you. There's going to be more about them later, but we're still at 5 yards. Now that we're back to Mac, you can see in front of you 4 defensive linemen, the players who are primarily responsible for stopping the run and for rushing the quarterback. The 2 players on the outside are the defensive ends. We label them rush and end. The 2 on the inside are interior linemen. We label them tackle and nose, though we'll also call them 1 tech and a 3 tech. This is what we call a 40 front, 4 defensive linemen, 3 linebackers. We could have a 30 front of 3 defensive linemen and 4 linebackers, or a 50 front of 5 defensive linemen and 2 linebackers, but for today, we're going to focus just on a 40 front. All right, now take a look behind you. You can see the free safety. This is the first defensive back we've identified. This position group is primarily responsible for covering receivers and defending against passing plays. Take a look over to your left to see the halfback in the corner. Now let's take a look over to your right, and we'll see the same positions on that side. The next concept we need to introduce is the idea of strength. Every time the defense lines up, we need to determine who is going to line up where. So to do this, before every play, we declare a strength. While there are a few different ways to determine strength, we use one main factor, the wide side of the field. When the ball is on the right hash mark, the wide side is on the left. Therefore, we have a strong left situation. When the ball is on the left hash mark, we'd be in a strong right situation. When we're in the middle of the field, like we are now, we default to strong left because we have to pick a side. That is why Sam, the strong side linebacker, is on the left, and Will, the weak side linebacker, is on the right. If this changed to strong right, then the 2 linebackers would switch sides. In front of you now, highlighted, is what we call the line of scrimmage. This line marks where the football was at the end of every play and will be at the start of the next play. If the ball is outside of the hash marks when the last play ended, the ball gets placed on a hash. This line of scrimmage is what separates the defense from the offense. That's going to take us to the offense. So up directly in front of you is the offensive line. In the middle with the ball is the center. On each side of the center is what we call the guard, and on the outside is what we call the tackle. These players are responsible for blocking the defense, either so the offense can run the ball or when they're trying to protect the quarterback in order to throw the ball. Behind the offensive line is what we call the offensive backfield. That's where we can find the quarterback, who's usually going to either hand the ball off to a running back or throw it to a receiver. Beside the quarterback, we're going to see the fullback, who's usually going to be like another blocker. Directly behind the quarterback, we can see the tailback, who's typically going to run the ball. Now, the formation that this backfield is lined in is called offset I. We're going to learn more about backfield formations in the future. If you look around, you can see that a box has been highlighted around us, the offensive and defensive line, and the offensive backfield. This is called the box and is the area in which the run game typically happens. When you hear the term the box, it's indicating this part of the field. Outside of the box is where the pass game typically happens. If you look out to your left, you can see the slot back and the wide receiver are highlighted. This is the same on the other side as well. We'll come back to these positions later in our pass game basics video. Let's get our eyes back to the offensive line because next up is talking about gaps, or the spaces between the offensive linemen. The gap between the center and the guard is the A gap. Between the guard and the tackle is the B gap. And outside of the tackle is the C gap. Furthermore, we can differentiate between these gaps by using our strength. So, because we're still in a strong left situation, we can see the strong A on the left and the weak A on the right. Each defensive player has a gap responsibility. The defensive linemen, as you can see highlighted, are in both C gaps, and the interiors are shifted to the strong side, so they're in the strong B and the weak A gaps. That's going to wrap up the first video here. Up next, we're going to take this idea of gaps and gap responsibilities into our Run Game Basics video. See you there.